Latinas have the highest uninsurance rate of any other ethnic group. Latinas have higher rates of cervical cancer compared to non-Hispanic white women. The HIV diagnosis rate among Latinas in 2016 was more than 3 times that of white women. Latinos have relatively higher rates for STDs compared with non-Latino whites. Latino teen pregnancy and birth rates are more than twice as high as the national average. Attacks on immigrants and xenophobia contribute to fear that keeps many Latinos from seeking out the life-saving healthcare that they need. Jimena is a Mexican university student. She is studying physical therapy in Hidalgo, Mexico, only 3 hours away from the capital city. Perfecta.
Pues yo creo que la capacidad la tengo, pero hay muchas como reglas o no reglas, sino como leyes que impedirían, no sé, por ejemplo, el aborto, que no es legal. Entonces sí sería como pues la única barrera. Podría.
Okay.
Sí, de hecho, pues hacen como campañas en escuelas y fuera de ellas.
Oh, perfecto.
No, bueno, ahora sí, pero pues se empiezan a tratar los temas un poco más abiertos después como en la prepa, pero pues antes es todavía como una especie de tabú hablarlo. No sé, es que siento que es como un debate todavía por temas de tanto de religión o como morales y así, entonces y hay muchas personas muy abiertas que piensan que pues, cada quien es libre de decidir. Yo creo que lo mismo, que la mente de las personas, pues tan solo en México o mientras más pequeño sea el lugar donde vives, hay más tabú y más problemas para hablar sobre ese tema.
Gabby is a student at the University of Florida. In this clip, she speaks to how her experience as a gay woman has shaped her knowledge of reproductive health and justice.
Do you feel like you have the ability and the freedom to make choices about your own body?
Yes, because I do know that there are some resources available, but I am gay, so I've never had to look for things like abortions or contraceptive pills, so I'm not 100% educated on that, but I do believe I have some type of choice.
Okay, and do you feel that you have safe and reliable access to reproductive health care services and contraceptives?
Once again, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe I might, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, and do you feel that you have had adequate sexual education in school, or like if you don't, how do you think that schools can do a better job of providing education to students?
So I believe I have not had adequate education, sexual education, just because I've only had one class in middle school about sex ed, and it was only 1 hour long. I believe if schools want to implement sexual education more onto their curriculum, that would probably educate us more on that.
Okay, and how do you feel that the Latino community views reproductive rights?
I'm unsure about how the Latino community views reproductive rights, just because I come from 2 very opposing viewpoints from my parents. My mother is very anti-abortion and very conservative in those terms. My dad is very liberal and he's very pro-abortion. He believes everyone should have something to access abortions and contraceptives. So I believe it varies throughout the Latino community.
Hello, my name's Ileana Dole. I'm a midwife at Tampa Family Health Center. I practice as an independent licensed contractor, and we provide the OBGYN services for this clinic. Our population tends to be of a lower socioeconomic, often uninsured. Sometimes they are undocumented individuals.
So, what are the biggest obstacles in improving reproductive health in the Latino community to you?
Our biggest problem is first the language. That is very difficult. We in Tampa do not have a lot of Spanish speaking providers. And so it is difficult for them to really understand what's even out there. Then, secondly, many have either no insurance or insurances with very high deductibles. And believe it or not, like what an IUD would cost, if you think about the most effective birth controls that out of 100 people, only one get pregnant, sterilization, the IUDs, and the Nexplanon. And those are all very costly. Even people who have insurance, we know what a deductible is. You might as well be asking for the moon. They just can't afford it.
And can social media and internet based movements lead to reform, including better public policies?
Well, I think the great thing about social media, especially for young people as yourselves, is to realize that we're facing a very big threat right now in our society. It is possible and feasible that in our lifetime, Roe versus Wade can be reversed. And even though it doesn't matter where we stand in terms of our own bodies and whether or not we want abortion, sometimes that is the only method that we can use at that time, because every method has a failure rate, even the ones that we talked about. That 1 in 100, there is that one person. So that is a problem. And if young women like yourselves, don't start formulating a movement to really put things out there, that can be gone completely. And like I said, a lot of, I think stressing the importance that we need to do something with our lives. We need to get jobs that do give us insurance. We need to be able to financially afford birth control. And how do we do it? How do we do it so that the government may sponsor more birth control? I guess if we get enough of a response, and I do say from young people, because I do think that you guys are the driving force right now in healthcare for young people that are in the reproductive age. I think that perhaps we can get Washington to listen and maybe put more money towards funding the people who have no money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is your assessment of the way the Latino society currently discusses abortion?
Well, it's not all the same. Different countries approach it in different ways. So that you might have, for example, my background is Cuban, and we have a lot of Cubans that do go to my clinic, and especially those that have been under Castro's regime, and the kind of the influences of the Russian and the Eastern Bloc nations. They have a more favorable reaction and less religious reaction to abortion. So many of them are very willing to have abortions as well as birth control. But then Mexicans, for example, that are very Catholic, have a harder time with birth control as well as with. So it varies from country, from country to country. It's not all. It's not all the same.
Right. Okay. So in the years you've done this work, what's the most important thing that you've learned?
I have learned that everyone is very different. And we have to always approach every individual as just themselves. They're not representative of a tribe or a group. Even if you think that based on their culture or their background, that you're going to understand how they're going to approach a problem, it's not always accurate. So the best thing to do is whenever you're trying to formulate a care plan or wherever you're trying to, the best care plan is the one that they believe in. The best method of birth control is the one that they like, not the one that you think is best, not the one that you think works the best. It's the one that they can do. You might say they can afford birth control pills, but if they're the person who can't take a pill every day because they forget, no good. You might say, oh, well, Depo's better because she can take it every 3 months, but if she's not willing to take a shot because she can't stand it, that's no good. So it all depends on the person, and you have to figure out what she wants, and that's the best method of anything. Whatever your care plan, she's got to be at the center of that care plan. Her needs